So this video is for anybody who is under 180 words per minute. They haven't passed their 180 test, and they need to pass their 180 test, right? So this is some pretty unconventional advice, and I really, really, really wish somebody would have given me this advice when I was in school, when I was in theory, or when I was in speed building, because to me it's just like so obvious, and I'm not sure why I've never heard anybody else share it. So first thing is, if you're having a hard time, you haven't passed any of your 180s, or let's say you've only passed one or two or whatever, you're not done with 180 words per minute, the first thing I'm going to need you to do in order to start passing those speed tests is go to your theory book. Go to your theory book and start on chapter 1. And the first thing you're going to do when you start with chapter 1 is you are going to make finger drills. Some of the books will already have finger drills for you. If not, you can create your own. And you'll create your own by every letter that was introduced in chapter 1. You'll make a list of them, and you will randomize that list. You can use random.org/list, and that will create a random list for you. So then when you have your finger drills, your goal now is to write each letter as fast as you can, but accurately, and without hesitation in between each key. Once you're comfortable writing those finger drills, the next step is to start using a metronome. The goal is to get your metronome speed to 200 beats per minute. You can find a free metronome on metronomeonline.com, or if you type metronome in Google, they actually have a built-in metronome for you. Okay? I believe that you should work on this until you can get to 200 words per minute, on 200 beats per minute on the finger drills, and then you can move on. And let's just be honest. If you are unable to strike the keys at 200 beats per minute, one key S, one key T, one key E, those letters like that, you're never going to pass your 180s. I mean, just straight up, you're never going to pass it. So this is how you're going to know. I feel like this way of practicing is also a way of knowing if you're even cut out for this. With all due respect, because there's so many other career options that there are. But if you're unable to get chapter 1 at 200 words per minute, you're never going to graduate. So it's better that you spend 2 weeks, if needed, on chapter 1 and pass that at 200. And then you'll be able to move on to the next chapter. And at least you'll know then, if you can't get to chapter 1 at 200 in 2 weeks, you'll probably never get to 225. And it doesn't matter if you spend 3, 4, or 5 years in school. So anyway, back to this. That was a little side note. Back to this. Now, the second thing you're going to do after you've done your finger drills and you're feeling comfortable with them, next thing is you're going to teach yourself that chapter as if you were the teacher. So you're going to start on chapter 1, and you're going to be just like as if you were a little kid and you're playing teacher. So you will you're going to use your theory book as your guidebook. And so as if you were a teacher. So next thing you do once you start teaching yourself is now you're going to make sentences. So there should already be sentences for you in your theory book, and you could create your own sentences if you would like. Next thing is put those sentences into a word processor. You put them into a word processor, and now you're going to have a list of sentences. And you could, again, use random.org so that you could randomize these sentences. Now with this list of sentences, what you're going to do is you are going to write these sentences as accurately as possible from the hard copy. Maybe you can do 10 sentences or 15 sentences at a time. Remember, since this is chapter 1, these sentences are probably only going to be 3 or 4 words long. So get probably 10 sentences, and once you're done with that, read them back. When you read them back, you need to read them back from your raw Steno notes. If you make an error, you need to analyze that error. Anytime you make an error, whether it's on the finger drills or whether it's on the hard copy practice, you need to analyze why you made that error. Now, once you are comfortable writing all of the sentences that you have created from the hard copy, and you're reading them back easily, meaning you're not hesitating when you're reading back, now you're ready to make your own dictation. To make your own dictation, using the same sentences that you already have, you're going to go back to random.org and you're going to copy and paste for as many as you need so that you can start dictating into either, like, you can use a voice recorder on your computer or something on your phone. It's up to you. Now, you're going to record your own sentences, the sentences that you just randomized. With those sentences, you're going to know what your word count is because in your word processor, there's going to be a word count. Okay? So you're going to try to make your dictation last about 1 minute long. Okay? So that means if you copied and pasted all your sentences and you have 202 words in that 1 minute that you just read, that means your dictation is 202 words per minute. Okay? So you are going to want to pass chapter 1 with those dictation sentences at least 220 words per minute. More or less, it's okay. 225, 218, whatever it is, but you need to be able to write chapter 1 with that kind of accuracy before you can even move on to chapter 2. Reality is you should really be writing chapter 1, especially, when you're a working court reporter, you should definitely be writing chapter 1 at 260 or 280 words per minute. Now, once you are done with chapter 1 and you've passed it, now it's time to move on to chapter 2. Now, chapter 1 may take you 3 days, and it may take you a week, but really, if you're already a 160 student, it really should not even take you more than 2 days. Now that you've finished chapter 1, now you're going to move on to chapter 2. Chapter 2, you're going to follow the same exact process. You're going to follow the same exact process with the finger drills and that teaching yourself a lesson, and then now you're going to create your own sentences or use the sentences that are already in the theory book. Now, you can, most likely the chapter 2 sentences are already going to involve stuff from chapter 1. You're going to do the same process. You're going to make your own dictation. Another thing, when you make your own dictation, at first, depending on what speed you're at, your first dictation might only be 100 words per minute, and that's fine. But you're going to have to make more dictation because you need to pass at like 200, 225, chapter 2. Same thing. Okay? So now you're already going to have a chapter 1 file, and now you just made your own new chapter 2 dictation. So make sure you still practice chapter 1 because you want to really make sure you can even be faster at chapter 1. And now chapter 2, you're still going to practice, and when you are able to write chapter 2 at 220 words per minute, more or less 99% accuracy, then you can move on to chapter 3. So now you have 2 dictation files that are your highest speed for chapter 1 and chapter 2. Be sure to practice those every day. Those files are only 1 minute long. You can combine them if you want with like I think it's called WavePad. There's a lot of audio editing file thingies, software programs, so you can combine your two drills to now make, a longer dictation. Now, once you're done with chapter 3, you move on obviously to chapter 4. Every theory book is different, so I can't tell you at which chapter to stop, but what I would recommend is once all the letters are finally introduced, that's probably a good stopping point. But as long as all the letters are introduced, so let's say chapter 22 is when you first start learning the initial M. That means you should be writing from 1 to 22 at 200 to 20 to 30 words per minute before you even try to think about high-speed practice. And nobody's going to tell you this, and I can tell you why nobody's going to tell you this. 1, nobody's going to tell you this because if you're doing this, you don't even need to be enrolled in school anymore because you're just doing all the work yourself. Now, I guess it would be different if your teacher would do this for you, but It doesn't seem like any school is doing that. And number two, the reason nobody's going to tell you this is because now you're not going to buy any more of their dictation. And it just is what it is. And you're not going to sign up for any of their little fancy programs. And that's just what it is. So that's what I think. And to me, this is just like a foolproof way of knowing and getting to 220, 225, and being able to pass your 180. The thing is, why most people slump at 180 or they plateau at 180 is because now the words are coming too fast and their brain does not have enough time to try to remember or to guess at some of these words, So practicing this way will really eliminate all of that. You'll be able to really have a strong foundation. And I'm telling you, if you're able to write all of your theory book, let's say your theory book is 44 chapters, but your last one that you're doing this method is chapter 22, and you're doing that at 200, and you already got to 160 without even doing this. Trust me, you're gonna fly through the program. Okay, so this is what I recommend that you do, and I think there was one more thing. Once the files start getting too big, then meaning like you have a lot of practice, then now you're going to make a cumulative file. So you can make a cumulative file for chapter 5, like for 1 through 5, but then definitely try to make it to be a little longer, like 3 or 4 minutes, because now you still want to be working on your endurance. But if you're still working on chapter 1 and you still haven't got that to 200, 225, like endurance is not, you don't even need to worry about it. Because trust me, like you need to remember that most people do not even graduate school, okay? It just is what it is. But honestly, there's no reason for that. If you can text while driving, trust me, you can be a court reporter. And please do not text when you're driving. Thank you. And so I think that's it. I don't know if anybody has any questions, since now there are people here who are interested in Steno after 11 p.m. So that's great. Oh, another thing is, since people are still here, is so when you learn chapter 1, they don't give you as many briefs as now that you know. So now you know a lot more briefs because you've already been in the court reporting program for enough time. Okay? So if you see that there are certain briefs that you could have learned in chapter 1 because you know all these letters, you know what I mean? Like you could, like for chapter 1 in this theory book, since you learn S and T, you would be able to make the phrase "is it." That's not taught in here, but since you know that, you can make that and add that to your list of briefs in the theory book, and then so now when you create your own sentences, you will now be reinforcing those briefs and those phrases. So if you should practice this method like 20 minutes a day, 20 minutes to 2 hours a day, okay? Remember, you're reading back, you're spending a lot more time reading back, and you're working on to figure out exactly what you don't know so that you could improve that. And only when you get to 225 or 200 to 225 can you now move on to chapter 2. And honestly, this is the way that they should be teaching court reporting in school. Okay, the way they're teaching court reporting in school, and I'm so sorry for going on this rant, but it just needs to be said. The way they're teaching court reporting these days is their interest is just because people, okay, you're going to learn chapter 1 today in theories, right? You're going to learn chapter 1. Now you're going to move on to chapter 2 the next day, and then chapter 3 the next day. And it's just kind of like, by the time you get to chapter 10, you're already feeling like, oh my gosh, this is pretty, like, kind of difficult. And you're only going at 40 words per minute, and you still haven't even mastered chapter 1 yet. So that's what I think is the issue with these schools. But the thing is also, as students want to, like, so many students tell me, oh, I just want to be out of theory. I just want to get into high-speed practice. I'm like, that's so, like, stupid. It really, I mean, but I don't blame the student. How is a student supposed to know what is the smart way to practice? Okay? If they already knew that, they would already be working now as a reporter. Okay? I blame the school system. I blame the entire educational system. I mean, I feel like we're the only program that has 95% dropout rate. I mean, you would think we're going to Mars or something, trying to build spaceships or something. I mean, this is ridiculous. This is like typing on a little machine, okay? Every one of us can graduate. If you already signed up for the program, you already completed your theory, trust me, you can graduate. You just need to solidify what you learned in theory, okay? So don't feel bad because you're going back to chapter 1 and you see other people are not doing it. Most of those people that are in class with you, most of these people on these forums that you see are never going to graduate, and it just is what it is. Another thing is that the difference between people who pass and people who don't are the people who pass do what's hard and necessary, whereas the people who fail, they do what's fun and easy. Okay? Everybody, of course, practicing at high speeds is fun with dictation and you're going fast and you feel like you're really doing something. But no, that's like fooling yourself. What's really necessary is that you have the foundation of your theory. And I know it's not fun. Do you really think you want to be writing, he sat at a set? Really? Like you've been in school for more than a year. You really want to be writing that sentence? Of course not. You want to be doing jury charge at 220. I know. But if you want to graduate, trust me, you got to do what I'm telling you. So that's it. Thank you guys for tuning in. And I will see you tomorrow because I am going to be filming every day in August, or at least I'm really, really, really going to try.